giant birds. Those are called saddle-billed stork. They have a wingspan about 9 feet, and we can tell the males and females apart. Males have brown eyes, while females have yellow eyes. Now over on the right-hand side, there is an okapi over there. With those black and white stripes on their legs, they might look like they're closely related to zebras, but they're actually most closely related to a giraffe. Those black and white stripes just help them blend in with light filtering in through the bushes. Now, okapi are known as the ghosts of the forest, and they were largely unknown to the Western world until they were discovered in 1901. We didn't even see a baby okapi in the wild until the mid-2010s, and that was only seen on a trail camera. And one of the ways we can tell they're most closely related to giraffes is by their skull structure. It is nearly identical.
Safari? No, I was just telling them about it. It's so much fun.
Right. Now, it's a little hard to see. Actually, no, let's go this way. So I actually see there's actually 2 black rhinos out here. There's one over there, but this one over here is much easier to see. Now, black rhinos are known for their triangular, prehensile upper lips to help them grasp onto vegetation. And they are pretty solitary, so they tend to be on their own, just like this. And they actually don't have any natural predators. Unfortunately, that does mean that their only threats are coming from human attacks, though. Now, something pretty cool but a little bit gross about rhinos, they actually leave each other messages in piles of dung. Definitely not my preferred method of communication, but it is really cool. They can tell if it's a male or female, how long it's been, and because they are so solitary, it's very important that they're able to leave those messages for each other. And it is very special. We've got to see actually 2 black rhinos over there. Because there are only 5 species of rhinos left in the wild, which is why it's super important that we do everything that we can to help protect them. Alright, now we're going to start heading over towards the Safi River where we should get to see some more aquatic type animals. So when we get over there, keep your eyes open. We are looking for any shadows might be moving in that water down there. Alright, let's see here. There are some gray birds down there. Those are called pink-backed pelicans. They have pink feathers on their back and underneath their wings, so during the mating season, their feet and even their beaks will turn pink. It kind of looks like they're blushing. They'll live in groups or pods, about 50 to 100 pairs. Those pods can also up to about 500 individuals. They're one of the largest flighted birds, and they also have a wingspan of about 9 feet. That's about how wide that canopy is above you. And then down in the water on the right-hand side, those are Nile hippos there. Hippos will spend most of their time in the water, and they can hold their breath for several minutes at a time, and they can even communicate underneath that water. That's a very small, there's only 2 of them, call that a group. It's actually on the left-hand side here in the water, you can't really see it just yet. Now, hippos have very large teeth, but they are herbivores, which means they eat only plants. At night, hippos will leave the water in search of food, and they'll travel over 6 miles away looking for it. They can eat about 100 pounds in one night, or about 4% of their body weight. It might sometimes look like hippos are swimming, but for the most part, the adults are really just going to be running along the bottom of the riverbed. It's actually how they got their name. Hippopotamus translates to river horse. They kind of like horses run along the bottom of the river. And hippos are notorious for their size, and they'll weigh anywhere from 2,500 to over 5,000 pounds, which is about as much as a car. There's actually a whole group where bloated hippos come up here on the left-hand side, just to the left of that waterfall. That down left-hand side, that's a Nile crocodile. Now crocodiles will get up to 16 feet long, which is nearly as long as a giraffe is tall. You might sometimes see crocodiles laying with their mouths open. That's called basking. It's how they regulate their body temperature. And crocodiles are really great mothers, and after their eggs have been laid, they're going to hold those eggs in their mouth, gently rolling them around, and that will assist in the hatching process. And then after those little ones hatch, she'll continue to hold them in her mouth to protect them. Sometimes even letting them ride on her back so they can all bask in the sun together, which is very cute, but also some really involved parenting. Now, in just a few moments, we're going to be heading out onto the savannah. The animals on the savannah are well adapted for their speed and agility, and that's because the savannah is primarily a grassland ecosystem, which means there's not very many places for these animals to take cover or hide. Now, before we head out there, though, there is a very large tree coming up here on the right-hand side. Does anyone happen to know any names for this tree? I promise you've seen one today already. What's it called? Yeah, baobab tree. It's also called the tree of life. There's one more name. Does anyone know it? I know, it's y'all are baobab tree experts. I love it. Well, those trees will remain leafless around 9 months out of the year, and the reason for that is the tree is using all of its energy to store water, not only for itself, but for other animals as well. Now, the savannah is home to millions of migrating mammals, including some of Africa's most famous, like giraffes, zebras, and sometimes even elephants, or my favorite, the wildebeest. So keep your fingers crossed, and we'll just see a couple of those today. I think I already see some in the distance. We might be off to a pretty good start here. Get a little bit closer. Alright, first up, I'm seeing these really tiny antelopes here on the right-hand side. These tiny antelopes are called springbuck. They kind of look like the coloration of like a s'more almost. They're known for something called pronking, which is when they're repeatedly frightened, they'll jump up in the air. They can jump up about 5 to 6 feet and forward 9 to 13 feet. And those little antelopes are actually the top 10 fastest land mammals. And then just past them there is a Maasai giraffe ahead of us. Now we can tell it's a Maasai giraffe based off of the spot patterns because they have more jagged edges on the spots. If you look above you on your spotting guide, you'll see a reticulated giraffe and kind of compare those different spot patterns. Giraffes are the tallest animals in the world, reaching heights of anywhere from 18 to 20 feet tall, but when they're first born, they're only about 6 feet tall or so. And giraffes only have 7 bones or vertebrae in their necks, and if that doesn't sound like a lot, that's because it's not. It's actually the same number of bones that we have in our necks. Okay, if you see this really big tree, look just to the left of it. Underneath it, there are some African painted dogs laying down over there. Now, African painted dogs will hunt in packs, and they're extremely successful hunters, and they're known for taking really great care of their young and even their elderly. They're a little bit hard to see, but even though they are called dogs, they're actually not like the dogs we had back at home. They're an offshoot of the canid family. Okay, look over your back left shoulder. You might get to see them again over here. And they have these really cool vocalizations, like these high-pitched chirps and yips. They kind of look like a squeaky toy to me. It is so cute.
Where?
Oh, it's that big tree just past it on the left-hand side there.
What tree?
Alright, now I'll just come up on the left-hand side. There are some rust-colored antelopes over here. Those are called sable antelopes, and if you look familiar, that's because they're the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Sable antelopes are really brave animals and are not known to back down from a fight, which is why they're the emblem. They remind us of we need to stand up and fight for all of these amazing animals. Let's try to get out of that draft way real quick. Let's get those across. Now we do have some structures on both sides of the truck coming up here. These are called termite mounds. These termite mounds are made out of dirt, spit, and dung. They're about as hard as concrete, and elephants will sometimes use these as scratching posts. Maybe not my #1 choice in scratching posts, but definitely somebody's #2. Now the landscape of a savanna is heavily impacted by the animals that live here. Elephants will bulldoze down trees, giraffes will prune the branches, and antelopes, like those sable antelopes back there, will help mow down the grasses. And all these small things that the animals do contribute to keeping the greater ecosystem healthy. So when elephants knock over trees, that might sound pretty disruptive, but it actually helps provide habitats or homes for smaller animals. And when giraffes prune the branches of the trees, that keeps the trees healthy so they can provide food, shade, and shelter for other animals. Now it is a baby giraffe over there on the left-hand side. We are going to get a bit closer. I say the giraffe is probably a little bit taller than 6 feet tall. I'd probably say close to about 7 to 8 feet tall now. That's actually about how tall I am. Oh, one more look at these really cute springbok over on the right-hand side. Now, if these springbok look familiar to you, they also are the mascot for a lot of different sports teams, especially for like rugby and things like that, so that could be why. Now earlier I was talking about how the okapi is the closest relative of the giraffe. Two of the things they're going to share with them are those little bumps between their ears. Those are called ossiphones, as well as a really long blue or purple prehensile tongue that can be used to grasp on the vegetation. Now if you want a picture about how long a giraffe's tongue is, for my adult friends, if you go from your elbow to the tip of your middle finger, it's about how long their tongues are, about 18 inches, which is why they can also be used for self-grooming because they retract towards their eyes and even their ears. We're getting really close to this group or tower of Maasai giraffes, including that baby giraffe there. Now, giraffes' hearts are about 2 feet long and weigh 25 pounds. They have the highest blood pressure of any mammal species, and they're going to spend most of their day eating and only sleep about 30 minutes a day, and not even all at once. They're going to take lots of little micro naps throughout the day, and they can sleep standing up. Now, I think they have purple tongues. Some people say blue, but whatever color you think their tongues are, it is believed that color coding might actually help protect it from getting sunburned. Now up ahead of us there's some dark antelopes. They're my favorite. They're the little beast. Now they're also referred to as the news GNU because of the sound they make. They have these soft vocalizations that kind of sound like they're saying new. They're going to live in herds of about 1,000, but during the Great Migration their numbers will reach up to 1.5 million. Now those wildebeest get their name from the Afrikaans word, which means wild beast, but I don't think that's a very fair description because I think they're actually pretty cute. Look at those faces. I love them. It also says you can also see those mass migrations from outer space, which is pretty cool.
They don't have the what?
Let's see, is there any animals hiding back here?
They got a cheetah. Oh.
You see a cheetah out here? That might not be good. That might not be good. Okay, I was like, that's probably not a good thing if it's out here, I don't think. Oh, on the left-hand side there is a group or a dazzle of Hartsman Mountain zebras. Now, zebras have unique stripe patterns for every individual. They do have some general stripe patterns that we can use tell differentiation. We can tell those are Hartsman Mountain zebras because of the wider black stripes across their hips. And baby zebras are able to imprint on their mothers by memorizing their stripe patterns. Now I want you to look really closely at their throats. You see that extra bit of skin hanging down there? It's called a dewlap. It actually helps regulate their body temperature. And while there are several different species of animals that will have those dewlaps, they are the only type of zebra to have them. Now we are going to start heading over into elephant country. Now there's no guarantees, of course. At the very least, we should get to see some evidence of elephants, like maybe some nocturnal retreats like I was talking about earlier. You'll kind of see how the landscape is changing. There's a lot more trees over here. It can sometimes be kind of hard to spot elephants in the shadows of the tree. You think it'd be easier to find, suggesting that they are weighing in about 13,000 pounds, but we'll see what we can find today. I don't think I'm seeing too much just yet. Oh, on the left-hand side, okay, just you see this big rock, look just to the left, there is a monkey right there. It's called a mandrill. You can just barely see the coloration on its backside. Now that one's a male because he's about 100 pounds. Females are only about 30 pounds or so. It's really hard to see back there. But they do have these really large sharp teeth in front that they use for self-defense and for tearing at some plant material. If you look under that bridge, there's one of those females, like I said, weighing about 30 pounds. And then over on the right-hand side, there is another elephant over there. Now that's an African elephant. We can tell based off the shape of the ears. They're kind of shaped like Africa, which is just a really fun coincidence. And we can also just tell because we're in Africa. There is actually another path up here where we can sometimes see those elephants a little bit closer, so don't put those phones away just yet. It was going to be a really quick look though, except, wait a second, road closed. What do you mean road closed? Hey y'all, that's the path I take, is right there. Okay. Unfortunately, as it's close, we're going to get to that elephant right now. That road is closed, and that's the only path that I ever learned. So, going on a little adventure here, a little off-roading. It does look a little bumpy, so just hang tight. Oh, there's a very tall bridge up here. I'm scared of heights. This is fine. It looks pretty sturdy, though. Wait, are those cables holding that bridge together? Do you see? Okay, it's too late now. This is fine. Are those zip ties holding that bridge together? Okay, I'm gonna try to not see that. That is okay. You see those zip ties too, right? Okay. All right, front wheels are clear. I'm safe. Okay, there's those back wheels. So a little bit more about the elephant, though. We have some amazing research. Scientists found out that elephants are terrified of bees, which helps a lot in their conservation. Over in Kenya, there were some issues with elephants accidentally trampling through farmers' crops. By creating beehive fences, they're able to safely deter away those elephants. This reduced the human-animal conflict for the elephants, and the farmers had an extra benefit because they could sell the honey from those beehives. Look on the right-hand side. You see it's all dug out there? That is red clay. It's actually from the elephants. They get lots of important minerals from that clay, which is very helpful, especially when other food sources might be scarce. It also works how like we as humans take like vitamins and supplements. So. And speaking of elephants, I think I might see some more up ahead of us. They're a little bit far back. Oh, there's one right there. Now, elephants will have many different ways they can communicate, but one of the really interesting ways is through low frequency rumbles in the ground. Now, we as humans can't hear this, as elephants will sense it through their beak. But if an elephant spots a bee or a beehive, they're going to send those rumbles out through the ground miles away, alerting any other elephants in the area to stay away. Let's see. There's a big elephant right there. I'm not sure if I already passed it. You know what, let me pull forward this way, look over your back left shoulder, and then look at the elephants that way. I think you're going to be able to see it a bit better. Now, male elephants are pretty solitary, so they tend to be on their own. The females will be in groups or herds just like this, with any young that they might have, just like that cute little baby there. Now, elephants have a really long gestation period. That's how long they're pregnant for. They are pregnant for about 22 months, so just under 2 years, which is insane to think about. Now, elephants are also referred to as pachyderm, which means thick skin, because their skin is about 1 inch thick. And while that skin is thick, it is really sensitive. So they're going to use those trunks to give themselves dust baths, just like you've seen there. Now, they're also going to use those trunks, those items like sunscreen and like bug spray for them. But they're also going to use those trunks for things like breathing, grasping onto things, drinking. They kind of use like a straw to put the water inside their mouth. And of course, eating. Elephants will eat anywhere from 300 to nearly 500 pounds of food in just 1 day. And they're going to have up to 100,000 muscles inside of those trunks. Up ahead of us, there is a group or flamboyance of greater flamingos. Greater flamingos are the largest and lightest in color of the flamingo species. Pop quiz for y'all. Does anyone happen to know what color baby flamingos start out as? Yeah, the white and gray color. They don't turn pink until after about 2 years after eating things like brine shrimp. And the reason they turn pink is because of a protein inside of that shrimp known as beta-carotene. Now that island on the left-hand side, does that shape look kind of familiar to y'all? Can't put my finger on it. It kind of looks like my boss a little bit, which is weird, but you know, water erosion doesn't put things out in nature. And baby ducks! I'm sorry, wild African baby ducks down there. I'm just kidding. They're really cute though. We're gonna keep moving along this way. Oh, there is a mud wallow up ahead of us. It's pretty common to find animals next to mud wallows like these rhinos here because these, this mud will help cool them down when they roll around in it. It also works like sunscreen for them. It's actually a great reminder for us to take a note from the animals. Make sure you're wearing your sunscreen today. How is a group or a crash of white rhinos? You might be looking at these rhinos and you're like, man, they do not look white. And you'd be correct. They actually get their name from the Afrikaans word vite, which means wide because of their wide mouths. So they're actually called vite rhinos. That kind of got lost in translation. And they can't see very well, but they do have an excellent sense of hearing and sense of smell. So even though we're a little bit far away right now, they can even hear things like this. Ready? You guys are doing a great job. Your horns look lovely today. Okay, I love you, bye. Like I said, this is a whole group, and we call that a crash of rhinos, which is very fun. Okay, this next animal might be a little bit hard to spot, but there's a hill coming up here on the left-hand side, and I want you to look all the way over to the left-hand side of that hill. There's actually 1, 2, maybe 3 cheetahs laying down there on the left-hand side. See what I'm talking about? Now, cheetahs are the fastest land mammals, averaging speeds over 60 miles per hour, and they have these really long black strips that come down from their eyes that work like sunglasses, reflecting the sun away from their eyes while they're running. Unlike most big cats, cheetahs will hunt during the day, and they're only able to partially retract their claws. That actually helps them run faster. They're going to use those claws to dig into the dirt to get better traction as they're running. And even though they're built for speed, cheetahs are not built for endurance. So after they hit that over 60 miles per hour, there's another one all the way to the right-hand side. After they hit that over 60 miles per hour, that speed will drop rapidly, and they can actually be scared off pretty easily by other animals, including lions, hyenas, and it's sometimes even been seen that the sable antelopes that we saw earlier could scare them off. You might remember that I was talking about how those antelopes are very brave. Now up ahead of us, there are some really large rocks. These are called a Kopi rock formation. We'll sometimes see animals up there because those rocks give you a really good vantage point over the savanna. Now that being said, I don't think I see too much up there right now. That's not really surprising though. A lot of the animals that we would find up there are something called crepuscular, which means they're most active at dawn and dusk. And we're in the middle of the day, we're probably not going to see too much right now. Ooh, but on the right hand side, do you see that antelope back there? Now it's facing the wrong way, but they do have heart-shaped noses, which is really cute. They're called water bucks. Let's see, let's turn its head. Definitely look up a picture if you don't get a chance to see it right now. But they have those really cute cartoon noses, but they, unlike their name might suggest, they rely on water heavily for their diet, drinking more than any other species of antelope. And they have a really greasy coat, which actually waterproofs them like a rain jacket, but it might also help them retain some of that water that they're drinking. I don't think I'm seeing too much up on those rocks. Oh wait, nope, just kidding, that's a log. Okay, but still a cool rock formation to look at there. I don't think I'm seeing anything up there though. No, that's okay. Moving right along here then. We are coming to some burrows now. We have lots of different species of animals will burrow, but I'm going to assume that these were dug by these warthogs that are right here. Now warthogs will use their feet, snout, and even their tusks to dig these burrows. Most tusks are just elongated teeth. Now a lot of people will associate the name of Pumbaa with warthogs, but Pumbaa means like silly or foolish, and warthogs are anything but that. They're actually pretty intelligent, but they're definitely in the grouping of the work smarter, not harder. They're actually going to find other burrows that other animals have dug, and they kind of do their own little like home renovations to them, just like they do. And those warthogs will also adapt their sleep patterns to whatever predators are in the area, which is pretty cool because it can vary based on the species. Well, and I don't think I've seen any ostriches today, but if you look down the right-hand side, there's some ostrich eggs, so there's definitely some nearby. And those eggs will weigh about 3 pounds each, and they are super strong. They're actually able to withstand the full weight of an ostrich, which for the females, that's about 200 pounds, but males weigh over 300 pounds, so there's some seriously strong eggs there. I will say, those are a little small from all the way up here, but for some context, about 2 dozen chicken eggs will fit inside of 1 ostrich egg, which is insane to think about. That's minus the shells, of course. Alright, we're coming to the Warren's Coast now. And I do see some Nigerian dwarf goats over here, kind of under that canopy there. And Nigerian dwarf goats are great climbers, but they're also great for agriculture because we can get a lot of products from them in a relatively small space. I think I can actually see a goat in the back of the Warden's truck. I can kind of just see the ears. So hopefully the Warden's not trying to go anywhere anytime soon. She may not get too far with the goat in the back seat. That goat is under the table. That is so funny. If you see that yellow box hanging out front, that's one of those beehive fences that I was talking about earlier as part of the Elephants and Bees project over in Kenya. Now these goats will help greatly improve a pasture because they'll eat things like weedy undergrowth, ivy, and blackberry that other livestock will just not eat. They also have square or rectangular pupils that allows them to see further out to the sides. Now we've seen a lot of amazing animals today, but most of those are considered endangered. Many animals, like the giraffes, are facing what is known as a silent extinction because people don't know the threats they face. Animals cannot speak up for themselves, so it's up to us to speak up for them to protect them, but there's lots we can do. Just by going home and talking about these animals and the things that you've learned, you can help them out. Or if you have a favorite animal, I encourage you to look up a conservation organization associated with that animal. There's also lots of small things or changes that we can make at home to protect all these animals you saw today, like being very mindful about what you're buying, making sure it doesn't contain any animal products, conserving water when you can, and recycling. But the most important thing you can recycle is your electronics. Inside of our cell phones and laptops, we have a metallic ore known as coltan. And coltan mining causes a lot of habitat loss and destruction, especially for animals like elephants and gorillas. So by recycling your electronics, you can help protect and save them all. Now, unfortunately, our 2-week-long journey is coming to an end. It really flew by with y'all, though. It only felt like 20 minutes and 31 seconds. But if I have any wilderness explorers on board today, the code word you're going to be looking for is SIMBA1. That is SIMBA1. I did once